Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. So good to see everyone on this wonderful in Delaware, yet cold, beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I'm super excited to be joining you on a Sunday. I know you guys aren't used to seeing me on a Sunday, but I felt that I really needed to come on today because I just want to share. A phenomenal couple with you. So we're going to take a few moments. I'm going to allow you to come in to jump on and say hello. Hey, Val. Hey, Val. Come on in. Come on in. And if you're watching the replay, make sure that you type in hashtag replay and let us know where you're joining us from today. But as I said, I wanted to come on this special day on Sunday to introduce you to not only friends of mine, but they were also my editor and my publisher of my book, which is a best-selling and international best-selling. So I'm super excited to introduce them because they are doing phenomenal things in the world. What's also great, there's two things there's a lot of things I really like about them guys, but one is they're pastors, and number two is they are in Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, now listen, they're where it's nice and warm, but yet like many of us here, or all of us, we're all stuck in this global pandemic that's affected all of our lives in one way or another, not just, spiritually or church wise, but it's affected our business as entrepreneurs. If we have an employer or an investor we're working with, it's affected that. It's affected our personal lives and family members. And yet we have to continue to rise above what is expected. And one of the reasons why Chantel and Mwale are so special and dear is because they are movers and shakers in this world, but especially, I think, during this global pandemic, because as coach and speakers, they've been able to grow their business 300+%. And so today, I wanted to invite them on to come and talk to not just me, but to talk to all of you about it. I want to share them with the world, with my community, because I know what they did for me with my book, that they can do it for you. And even with the business, if you're in a business, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you are aspiring to do, you can connect with them. And I guarantee you that they will be able to head you in the right direction and to help you out. So everyone, my community, I want to introduce you to Mwale and Chantel Henry of the Bestsellers with an S Academy.
Hello. Thank you so much, Esther, for having us. And thank you to all of you who are watching this live and on the replay. We appreciate you because we love to have conversations with good people.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Esther. And I want to also celebrate you, Esther, for holding this space. It's not an easy job, really, to continue to serve even during a pandemic. And more importantly, to serve brilliantly and boldly. And I want to celebrate you for that. And more importantly, inviting us to be a part of your community.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor. It really is. So I'm super excited to hear what you guys are going to share today. Guys, listen, this isn't a very long live. We're going to be on for about 15 minutes. I want you to get your pen and your papers. I want you to ask questions if you have questions, but you're going to get nuggets. You're going to receive nuggets. So I want you to be ready to write them down and keep looking at the post, because we're going to post in the chat how you can connect with Mwale and Chantel and the great things that we're doing. My husband says to me, hey, babe. Hey, Chantel and whoever the Facebook user from Delaware, let us know who you are and come on in, everyone. So let's talk. Let's have this powerful conversation. Tell us about what you're doing.
Well, it's great that you mentioned all of the exciting things that we have going on, because what we do as publishers, as best-selling authors ourselves, is to use our voices when it's convenient and sometimes when it's not convenient. And we like to do that because we know that on the other side of us speaking up, on the other side of us showing up, on the other side of us standing up, there is someone else who will be inspired as a result of seeing us. And the same is true of you. So, the reason why Mwale and I are so blessed to be a part of this conversation is because Esther, as being our sister friend in this process, she, like many of you, have a story. Yeah. And the power of connecting yourself from where you are right now to where you want to be is in your story. And the reason why we are
Okay.
now in the position, Esther, to express what God has done in terms of growing our business 300% during a global pandemic is because we were bold enough to share our story.
Definitely. So, for those of you who are listening and locked on, we want to just share with you 4 P's of possibility. What
Ah,
we use to guide us through that process surgically, because I'll tell you something, success is not by accident. It's an intentional process. It's a plan, and it's something that it is duplicatable once you apply these following techniques. So number one for us,
but
when
hold on, Mwale. I'm sorry, just 1 second. Did y'all get that? There's 4 P's of possibility. And it's not accidental, guys. It's intentional. So just like I have mine, get your pen and your paper out and let's begin to write those nuggets down.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So number one, process. So we began to process what was happening, and I know many of you in this conversation, you guys are giant slayers. You move bravely and boldly into the world, and during this time, there's a lot of conversations about pivot. But we understand that in this time of uncertainty, it requires perseverance. And as you persevere, the only way you can persevere in the right direction, you have to begin to process what's happening in the current climate. Process how the market is not just reacting, but how do you react to the market, and more importantly, respond to the market. So we really sat down and surgically looked at our business, looked at our systems, looked at our sales systems, looked at our operational systems, just begin to probe into those systems and begin to see where the gaps, and identify what's working, what's not working. And more importantly, during this process, as a leader, as you're processing your environment, one of the guiding lights would lead you in this time of uncertainty is the constant reminder that the vision you had for your business, the vision you have for your ministry, the vision you have for your marriage, the vision that God has given to your heart in those still times is still real.
Yes, it is.
In the times of uncertainty. So we really went through that time of processing the environment and being very, very clear where are those gaps, and begin to persevere in those specific areas that I identified before.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. I've got, people are writing it down. Process. The only way you can persevere is by process. I say process. I'm sorry. So
That's all right.
it's by the process. That's awesome. That's awesome. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Absolutely. And so when we identified the processes that caused us to not necessarily shift, but really to persevere doing what we already know works. But it's how do you do it? How do you show up as a speaker in a virtual space? Perhaps there are new tools and skills that you have to equip yourself with, new platforms, right? That you have to be familiar with in order to still get your message out there. So the second P that we implemented in the 4 P's of possibility, Esther, was partnerships. Understanding that we may be able to go faster by ourselves, but you can absolutely go further with someone else. And when we looked at who do we already have in our network who would be able to say, hey, I don't mind sending out an email blast about your event or your services. I don't mind sharing with my community that you have something valuable to offer. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, Esther and Valerie, we get into this mindset that, oh, it's more about isolating ourselves because we don't want to be in a competition. But it's not about competition.
No,
we
it's not.
serve a great God. We serve a very abundant God, a generous God. And by understanding that, we realize that we can co-create with our Father and get opportunities that He has already put in the earth for us to take advantage of.
I love what you're saying. Co-create. We
That's
can
right.
co-create. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, co-creation is so fundamental. And so when we began to look at that as a way to still advance our calling in life, then we realize, wow, there's something to this. So I want to encourage you, Yetta, to think about partnerships. Who do you already have that may offer something similar or speak to your same audience, so that you can begin to leverage relationships as opposed to keeping people away until, there's a new day. You want to be able to use what you have right now and begin right away.
And Esther, even as you would know, partnerships requires humility.
It does.
Yes, it
It requires you to put to silence all the chatter in your mind, all the negative thinking. I don't think they will do this for me. I don't think they're interested. And here's what's key, especially as we apply this principle of partnership during the pandemic. There were many people who we spoke to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago.
Or some people we didn't even talk to because we were having this negative chatter in our head that it wouldn't be possible to have a partnership.
And they may have not returned our call, didn't respond to our email, because they were just busy. But I'll tell you something, if there's one thing, Esther, that has caused this pandemic to really bring, is a sense of stop and a sense of stillness. And everyone is now recalibrating and rethinking that in their normal operation, where they would have been going deep in their niche or their niche, whichever one, tomato, that people are now looking at expanding across the marketplace. They are now available. They are now open for innovative ideas. And I will say this to you, to everyone who's listening here, go back to your Rolodex, begin to go over those phone calls, begin to go back in that email. And there's a gold mine of opportunities of people who are just waiting to partner with you. And we've seen that massive increase during this time. And that's what led us to that 300% increase.
I tell you what, I find that to be so true, Chantel and Mwale, because it's happened to me. Just going back through and seeing who can I partner with to pivot at this time. Because the one thing that, as you said, the pandemic has done, it's caused us to we have no other choice but to rethink some of the things that we're doing, reevaluate.
Yes.
And then move forward. In other words, cutting down that negative self-talk, that negative self-chatter, and saying, you know what, I'm just going to launch out and I'm going to try this. So yeah, that's great. That's great.
Absolutely. And even along those same lines, it's not enough to evaluate the systems. It's not enough to have the partnerships. But what do you do with that, right?
Exactly.
Those are the foundational steps.
Exactly.
But why are we all here? Because we want to be able to make a difference in the world. And we believe, as our coach says, that good people are supposed to do good, because when good people do good, they do more good in the world. And I believe that by the mere fact that you are listening to this talk, but the mere fact that you're connected to Esther, you're connected to her husband, John, I believe that you're a good person. And so
I agree.
You agree, Esther? And so one of the fundamental things about being able to show up and give and do good in the world is being profitable. And that's the third P that we'll discuss today.
Yeah. So, during this time, we had to sober up to some of the myths that would have guided our either financial decisions or financial analysis. So as business owners, we were able just to break down these three categories. And I want to share this with you, and I want you guys to write this down. We learned that revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity, but cash flow is reality.
Okay, so can you repeat that again? Because that's powerful. You have to. Guys, you got to write this.
All right, so revenue is vanity.
Vanity.
Profit is sanity, but cash flow is reality. So as a business, you have to ask yourself the question, yes, over the past 2 years, 3 years, you saw revenue coming in, you saw income coming in, and it created this sense of, oh, I'm successful. Oh, things are happening. Oh, okay, people are purchasing. Oh, but when the pandemic came, you begin to understand the difference between revenue and profit, because profit is sanity. Now you begin to realize where there's wastage in your business. Now you begin to realize where the vanity is in the business, the things that you would have decided to do when there was plenty. But then you begin to realize, hey, I need to make some adjustments because this has moved from being no longer a need, but it's a want, and it's not required. In other words, we began to trim some of the fat in our operations. We began to realize that as entrepreneurs, the push for running your business should not first be about convenience, but more about convictions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And sometimes we want to delegate. We want to delegate to this person. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. But I say to you, once you are running your business as an entrepreneur, it's indicative for you to participate in your breakthrough, in your process. And then in that participation, you can identify places of abuse, places of redundancy, places of what we will call, things that you just don't need to do anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good. This is conversation, and I know we haven't gotten to foras yet. That just can't stop here at a surface level. This is conversation, especially point 3, that you really have to deep dive in. This is great. Please.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so thank you. So even when we saw that, when we looked at our processes, we begin to realize, number one, what's not documented cannot be managed. Yeah. So you have to now begin to think of your business. I remember one of our business coaches said to us, when you're growing a business, you either have to ask yourself, am I growing a business to sell, or am I growing a business to scale? And in both instances, you have to be able to document the process, because if you have to sell, you have to be able to sell a process. You have to be able to sell a system. So for us, we moved from the hustle of the business to now thinking in the perspective of running the business and managing the business and really CEOing the business rather than being in the business. So from a strategic level, it really forced us to think at a more strategic level. And I will tell you, Esther, that allowed us to really measure properly. And I wanna encourage everyone here, if there are things that you've been running from, I don't like to do this, I don't want to pay attention to that, that's not my expertise, I want to say to you, the very thing that you're running from is a very sad thing you need to pay attention to, because that thing that is causing you pain from paying attention to is also affecting your profit.
That's right. So powerful. Listen, Esther, I think that what I really want your audience to take away, especially from that profit spectrum, is that success is not always a matter of time. It's a matter of team. And there will be people on your team that will help you advance in those areas where you are weak in. You got to connect the points. You got to connect the partnerships, right?
Not a matter of time, but a matter of team.
Yes.
Really important. Yeah.
So if you realize that there are things that are in your business or in your speaking or in your desire to speak or a desire to be a coach or whatever it is that you want to do that you may not be strong at, don't try to be a jack or a Jill of all trades, right? Get people around you in your circle who will help advance in those areas that you may not be so strong in.
That's excellent. That's excellent. That's so good. So good. We've got just people just repeating what you're saying. What is not documented cannot be managed. Success, Valerie says, success is not always a matter of time, but a matter of team. Valerie's on my team. She's one of the ladies on my team. So she's catching it all, because that's so important. We have Yetta also saying it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of team. What you've just said there is so important to your success, because many times we think it's a matter of time, but no, it's a matter of the team that you have that's going to catch that vision.
Yes.
Right. Be able to work with you, understand it, and be able to run with you.
Yes.
In that vision. I love it, because can I just share a quick story if you don't mind?
Definitely. Of course.
When I met Chantel and Mwale, and I had a book in my belly. And listen, guys, I know I was not the easiest client, because I struggled. I struggled so much. I tell people all the time to get my story out, but you kept with me. You didn't leave me. You just, you kept just gently, pushing me to get it out. And honestly, with the response I've gotten from it, I never would have thought ever that I would have gotten just a positive response. So a part of my team, a part of a team to push me to see that potential, let's say. Yes. And then help you to rise to that potential is
Yeah.
powerful. It's not time, it's team. I love that. I
Well,
love that.
definitely,
Absolutely.
for us at the Bestsellers Academy, it's very, very important just to create
Yeah.
that space for people to imagine again, that space for people to dream again, to think that it's actually possible, and more importantly, just to provide a process, a plan, a system, and to just let them know that they're not alone. And I remember, when we were having our first child, Princeton. He's next door. He's listening to this interview, and he's anxious for when we get off this interview to say bye bye. Because every phone call we take from them, I say to someone bye. He's in the background, bye. So our 3-year-old son. I remember one of the key things about my wife giving birth was just knowing that for being a first time dad, taking her to the hospital in Atlanta and, walking her in and just looking at her face and just looking at everything. And one of the key things that brought peace to my mind is that when you get the best doctors, you choose the best hospitals, the last thing you want to think about is all these other intricacies of bringing a child into the world, and it just allows you to focus on what matters the most. So for me, when we think of just birthing that process, supporting you in that process, it reminds me of the experience I had as a father. And I know many women here who you brought a child into the world. The last thing you want to be thinking about is, does the doctor know what he's doing?
Oh, no.
Is everything's in place?
That's so true. That's true. That's true.
All you want to do is get that baby out. Yeah.
That's so true.
So
So
our
true.
final P of possibility is purpose.
Yes.
So during this time of the pandemic, we had to revisit that purpose. And for us, all business owners, whatever you're growing, whatever you're building, it always starts with a vision and a mission. But the common mistake we make sometimes, Esther, and I include myself in that, is that we cast a vision, but we don't visit it often. We
That's
cast
good.
the vision, but we don't visit it often. So this time during this pandemic, we visit that vision often.
Oh, yes.
Frequently. It was before our eyes. It reminded us of our why. It reminded us of who we're called to serve, why we're called to serve, and if we stop, who will be affected by the lack of our service. I say that again. It reminded us of who we're called to serve, why we're called to serve, and who will be affected if we choose not to serve.
Yeah, that is so good, so important. Why and who would be affected if you choose not to? What lives would not change?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. You're born and then you transition, and what do you do with that dash?
Yes.
Whose life are you affecting during your dash period?
Yes.
That's powerful. Yeah.
So
Great.
that profitability and uptick in our business naturally occurred because we were so possessed with the purpose of why we started. I remember, meeting Chantel for the first time. It was my first time to America. And I went to a business conference in Las Vegas. And within 24 hours, I met this wonderful, wonderful young lady. And, I was, as someone from the Caribbean, my desire was always just to look for a better solution of bringing entrepreneurship, solutions to break generational poverty. And when this pandemic came, we had to go back to that place, of our union, our unity, our love, our legacy. And it really rekindled a spirit of perseverance. And, it really rekindled our why. So it really allowed us to remind ourselves of, not just who we're called to serve or why we're serving, and if we don't serve, what can happen. And in that process, it really brought us to that place of passion, intentionality, and getting up every day to say there is a solution and we choose not to give up. So I want to remind everyone, as I remind myself, don't give up. Choose not to give up, choose to revisit that vision. And, we've just seen that radical results in our business, during this pandemic, the type of support we were able to do and the type of lives we were able to impact.
Yeah. So Esther, when we look at a number like 300%, we're like, oh my gosh, that's mind blowing. And that's
Yeah.
amazing. And yes, it is. But for us, we've always built our lives around the belief that it's not enough to be successful, but what matters is being significant. And so when we
Mhm.
look at that type of growth in our business, we realize that, hey, that means that we've been able to give out literally over 3,000 face masks to communities and people who needed them. We've been able to give out thousands of dollars with our partners in groceries to families who would not otherwise have the ability to eat, especially with
Powerful.
children being home during the school hours, 12 hours a day, and them being on the free lunch program.
Yeah.
They were looking at, how am I going to feed these babies now, right?
Yeah.
Dinner was a struggle. Breakfast was really hard to come by, and now lunch too. And so we were able to, by the grace of God, to circumvent that critical need of these people. And that's why it matters. That's why it matters for you right now, Valerie, to
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
That's why it matters right now for you to speak up. That's why it matters for you to never, ever give up, because there are lives, there are people who need to hear from you, need to see you, and need to witness that God is still in the miracle working business.
Yes, yes. So good, and so true. I love that. That's why it's important for us to get up, to stand up, to speak up, because our lives really, it's really not our own.
Yeah.
We are really tasked. We're really God's angels on earth, right? To help others. And I think out of everything that we do, and you're saying it's being significant. It's being able to help someone and to see someone move from one level to the next. And here's the other piece. Many of us, we may work, maybe we are into entrepreneurship, to pay bills and to do all of these things. But I love looking at the greater picture.
Yes.
I love looking at the greater picture, that I'm here to help this person. I'm here to donate to this, or to help that hungry family, the families in the homeless shelters, especially during the pandemic, and just to share the love of God, not by just saying, I love you, but putting some money
Yes.
behind what I'm speaking, putting some action behind what I'm saying. And I love it, because that's what you guys are doing, and that's what you're helping others do as well. Because listen, the scripture says this: go ye into all the world. We know what it says, right?
Yes.
But how are we going to go? And when we go, what are we going to do? So I look at this wonderful virtual, to where we can go places where we may not otherwise be able to go.
That's
and
right.
now the money maybe that we would have spent on traveling and what we're doing as we're building our business, now that can actually go into someone else or to some organization that needs it. And I love that. I love that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's what it's about. And we believe that, it's not just a matter of you being able to know that you have some gifts to share, but really doing what it takes to get it out. On Tuesday, I'm so excited that Esther, you'll be in the building for our very special event, Sonia. It's Girl Share Your Story. It's a summit where we're going to talk about what it takes to master your message, master that message that's swirling in your belly right now, that's burning to get out. One of the reasons why we've been able to grow our business in this way is because we've been able to share our story. Share our story. And inside of your story, it is your secret sauce for success. Let me tell you, we've seen it with our coaches, with people like Esther, who've been able to write international best-selling books. We've seen it with our coaches who've become millionaires, multimillionaires as a result of sharing their story. Remember, when you tie the 4 P's of possibility and you interweave that with your story, man, you become unstoppable.
Wow.
Unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
Unstoppable.
So we invite you, we invite you not just to stand up. We invite you not just to really choose not to give up, but we also invite you to show up. show up on Tuesday so that we can support you. It's a free event. More importantly, it's a space that is really specially prepared for you. It's a safe place. It's a place where you can really imagine again, dream again. Dust those dreams that you have shelved. The talk about 2020 is over, but my faith always reminds me of this wonderful scripture. It says, better is the end of a thing than the beginning. And as many people who are thinking this year is incomplete, I need to sit back and wait for a vaccine, sit back and wait for sometime in 2021. I want you to know now is the time to act. Now is the time to move forward, because, great things are available. And we are a living example by God's grace, His mercies, giving us the strategy during the time of famine, in lease, in turmoil, in inertia, in confusion. We have discovered the 4 P's of possibility. And we're going to be deep diving on so many different strategies to help you master your message and to really be able to walk more brilliantly and more boldly this year, not next year. This year, right now.
And we have some really special guests too. We have our coach, Lisa Nichols.
Yes, super excited.
Yeah, she'll be one of the featured speakers. We have Doreen Rainey from the Radical Success Institute, and it's going to be phenomenal. Some of the topics include, how to monetize your message, how to really take the gifts that are inside of you and become radically successful. And we're even going to give a talk on how we were able to earn $15,000 in 15 minutes by sharing our story.
By sharing your story. Guys, listen, the link for you to register is in the chat. So what I'd like for you guys to do as we continue our conversation for a few minutes more is let's share the chat, because we want to share this. It's free. So, all you're really investing right now in yourself is time. And
Yes.
you are definitely worth the investment.
Oh, yes.
Right? Worth the investment. So Valerie said she's going to be there. Sonia here that lives in Dover says she's going to be there and she can't wait. She can't wait. And so listen, Lisa, guys, you guys already know Lisa's going to bring it, and I'm sure everyone else will. And when you're finished with that, you're going to be able to master your message.
Yes.
Right? So please, let's post it in the link. Let's keep reposting it so people can register, because it is this Tuesday. So time is running out. Tuesday, that's tomorrow's Wednesday. The next day is Tuesday, guys, right? And you want to make sure that you get on and you register. And it is posted on YouTube. It's posted on all of the social media pages. And so let's continue to repost it. So in closing, what is it that you would like for us to do besides register? But how can we be prepared as we come on to this wonderful experience on Tuesday? I'm going to turn on some more lights for me, guys.
All right. Yeah, well, the first thing is
it's getting dark here.
Yeah. So the first thing I say is just really come with a heart of expectation. Expectation is the ground, is the seed of all great miracles. So, come expecting. Write down exactly what you are looking for. What is that specific, either question or more so clarity that you're seeking? And secondly, really be in a place of stillness, where you are seeking clarity.
That's right.
Because, sometimes we go to conferences, okay, we have expectations, but you must be able to, more importantly, have clarity before you enter into that conference, before you enter into that space. So you know exactly what you're looking for. Thirdly, I say, be in a quiet place. All right. It's going to be on Tuesday. Today's Sunday, on Tuesday. So in less than 2 days, it's going to be the conference. But I want you to be in a quiet place. It's between 12 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. So really carve out that time. Carve out, strategize how you're going to listen. Strategize how you're going to connect. Strategize how you're going to receive. And finally, take notes. Take notes. As a young man, growing up, one of the key things I've learned, Martin Luther said one of the key ways to defeat the enemy is by pen and paper, right?
That's right.
So I want you to take notes, because what's not documented doesn't get done. What's not documented doesn't exist. And the documentation beats conversation every day and any day. So take copious notes, have it there, and it's going to be able to really be a blueprint for you. So after the experience, you have a clear blueprint of what you need to do and how you need to get it done.
Yeah. And Esther, I'm actually going to forward in your messenger your actual link. I see that you shared one, but this is the one to the event. So those of you who may have just signed up for on Esther's link, I want you to go to this one instead, because this one will show you the description of the event.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. So listen, as we close, thank you guys so much. I like documentation. One of my phrases is documentation is your friend. So,
Oh, yeah.
so it's your friend. When you document, you can go back, you can refer back. It's so important. One last question. So I've had the question, can men attend? Can men?
Good question.
That sounds like John. So what I would say, John, I will be there. So just by default, if there's any guy who just want to crack the door open and peek in, you're going to be safe, because there's going to be a brother on the inside. So you're not going to be alone. You know, it's just by association. You know, I am there, you know.
Yeah. I told him, I said, are you going to come on and do this live with me? He said, no. I said, I think Mwale is going to be there. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Listen, I can't do it without him. He's trying to cut the umbilical cord, but I'm not ready yet. So I said, no, baby.
I know.
So yes, any brother who wants to be there, you know, definitely you are invited. You know, again, this great saying, the glory of the man is a woman. So we're there to ensure that our women shine and allow that story to come out. And as they shine, we shine together. So yes, brother, if you want to be there to witness that shine, like I'm witnessing it every day, the brothers are definitely allowed to be there.
Great. Thank you guys so much. Chantel has put the link in there, so you can get the right link. Sonia, if you haven't registered, Val, if you haven't registered, they said they'll be there, so they've already registered. I'm sure others have already registered, right? So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you even asking me to partner with you, because partnership does bring strength. So I'm very much honored. I appreciate you so much, and I love you guys so much. And I know soon we're going to actually see each other physically.
Yes. I miss the hugs. I know. There's everything, but in time. And
so I'm watching you guys. You guys are doing powerful things. So all I could do is grow up to be like you.
Oh.
And I will see you soon. John says I'm right here, and he will be right there.
All right.
Well, we look forward to seeing everyone there, and have a great Sunday. Thanks so much for having us.
Take care. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and joining Mwale and Chantel from the Bestsellers Academy. If you have not registered, make sure you click the link, go in the chat and get the link so you can register. It's on Tuesday, December 8th. All right. We love you guys. If you're listening to the replay, let us know and put #replay and let us know where you're from. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.